Welcome to the Ripple Podcast.
The podcast where we tell you stories about strange and unusual events and the ripples they create.
AKA the story after the story.
I'm Rosa.
And I'm Angela.
And this is the Ripple Podcast.
Get Ripple, the bright new drink with that ring-a-ding flavor, Ripple.
Looks like it.
It didn't do the...
No, because I turned it down. Otherwise, we get feedback.
Oh, creepy. It's super creepy.
Random heads outside the window.
Can we close the blinds? It kind of bothers me a little bit that they're open.
But I like it that if anyone tries to come up, we can see them coming.
Well, we can hear them walking up the steps.
Okay, we'll try.
Yeah. I feel like it's going to take me out of the mood when I see like a little kid riding a bike as we talk about
Little kids
horrible murders.
Okay.
Oh, I need a drink. Our drinks.
Okay. What do you have?
Well, since this is the post-Christmas show, the between Christmas and New Year's,
Our last
weird
show of 2019.
time warpy time.
Is it Monday? Is it Friday?
Who knows? I brought some, what is this? It's eggnog, but it's a whiskey eggnog. It is, oh, it doesn't even say. I thought this was like Jim Beam or something, but it's not. It
said Kentucky.
It's Kentucky's finest. So it's some.
Holiday Noggin.
Yeah. It's Jolly G Boots.
Jolly G Boots.
That is not a real name. Anyway, so that's our drink of the week. I'm really not in the mood to drink an eggnog, but that's what I brought because that's what I had.
Well, I didn't even bring mine at all, so you're one step ahead of me.
Cheers.
Clink.
I feel like I've been hungover since Christmas. So
Wait, you poured this in a shot glass.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna do a shot. Did you just do a shot of eggnog?
Took a shot of eggnog.
I put it in a shot glass because that's what we had.
You put it in a shot glass. I take a shot. You like sip,
That's
sip,
really
sip
good
yours.
because it's thick.
Mine's like to the back of the throat.
Yeah, it's thick, creamy
Nog.
nog. It's not for doing shots of.
I swallowed that nog whole.
Speaking of weird things happening between Christmas and New Year's,
Okay.
we need to discuss the email that I got the other day.
Oh my gosh.
I should pull it up. Okay, I don't want to read the names on it, but
we should post that on our Instagram, but like block out the
Well,
the
yeah, there's a
personal stuff.
lot of personal information on it, and I don't know, like...
That is so crazy.
It is, okay. So I got this email. I'm pulling it up right now. And I think the subject line, if I can find it, said death certificate. And I immediately thought, like, okay, this is like a clickbaity spam email, but they got me, you know? It says death certificate. I have to open it. Yeah, death certification. That's the subject line on the email.
Okay.
So I open it up only to find that it is definitely not a spam. It is full on the information regarding a death record. And it has the funeral home. It has the date of death, which was Christmas Eve. Rest in peace. RIP. The place of death, the healthcare center, the descendant's first name, middle name, like all of this stuff.
And it's a real death certificate.
It's a real, no. Well, first it's just the information. And then it's like, hey, the death certificate is to follow, so be prepared. And I'm like, what the heck?
And it says that you requested it, right?
No, it says I was listed as like one
Okay.
of the people that needed to receive it.
Okay.
And I think I figured out why. And I'll tell you that in just a second. So, but on the bottom, and still I'm thinking like, okay, this is some sort of scam. They're going to have this follow-up email that's like, hey, guess what? You just inherited $20,000.
Right.
or
All
whatever.
you have to do is send us $250.
But on the bottom of the email, it says, if you feel that you've received this email in error, please contact the identified funeral home directly. Don't respond. So I'm like, okay. So I Google the funeral home, and then I send them an email saying like, what the heck? Why did...
a few funeral homes near you.
'cause I sent Google. Again, it like only works when I don't want it to work. So then I email them, and they respond back to me, and it says, pulling it up right now, It says, "Hello, my name is blank. Attached is the information we were given that got me to you. Hope this helps. Thank you." And then the name again. So on the attachment, which was what led them to me, is the full-on, like, written there at the healthcare facility death certificate. That says, like, the time of death.
Like a scanned copy of it.
Let me pull that one up. So
That's the
did I
one you
show
sent
this?
me. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So it's an actual death certificate from the hospital, but the certifier's name, which is the name of the physician, medical examiner, or coroner who has provided the cause of death, her name is, her last name anyway, is one letter off from mine. And her first name is Anita.
So A, first
A,
initial.
Right. And then she probably has an M, I think. And then
Or an N that looks like an M.
I don't know. But anyway, I think that's how, because my email address has my last name on it, I think that.
Someone hit a wrong key somewhere.
And I almost just gave out my personal email
Right.
address.
We could delete that. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, so I think that's how they got my information, but it's super creepy and bizarre.
Well, and just almost careless or not careful enough.
Yeah. And then I responded again. And I said, perhaps you intended to email the doctor. And this person wrote back to me and they said, "I'm so sorry. It's nuts that the state system is sending an email to someone who is not a physician. I will contact the state and see if I can get this resolved. Thank you." It's like, well, don't apologize to me. Like, I don't know. It's really weird.
At least they had the decency and compassion, I guess, to email you back and just and kind of go like, oh gosh, there's something that needs to be fixed here.
But also it's the state's fault, not my fault.
Right. I am not the one that typed it in incorrectly.
It is super weird. But I don't know. Maybe I'll have the ghost of
that person
coming to visit me now.
Or maybe you're going to get some killer inheritance.
Well, that would be super illegal.
Oh.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it was intended for me all along.
It's your late Christmas present.
Died on Christmas Eve.
Oh.
It's so sad. So yeah, that was my weird, creepy story.
And then we are just a few days away from New Year's.
Yes.
What are you doing on New Year's? I don't even know if we've talked about this.
My original intention was to go camping.
Okay.
Because I do not like to go out on New Year's anymore. I went out quite a bit, like in college, and then I think a couple of years after college, and it's just stupid. It's insane. What, are you going out?
No, I'm thinking of New Year's past when I'm holding on to like a light post, barfing into a gutter, and it's like 9:30. Like I didn't even make it to New Year's.
Yeah. I mean, that happens. But
what?
I'm just looking at your face and you're like imagining.
I'm having a flashback.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in college, we definitely did a lot of pre-gaming before going out to New Year's because you don't want to pay for drinks. But it was just, it's such a madhouse. And, like, the places that you normally go are super packed.
Well, and the point of New Year's is to get trashed. Like, there's...
Yeah, and they're going to make it
goal.
really, really expensive for you to do that.
Well, and then there's the people that don't drive carefully, which scares me.
Well... They can always take an Uber.
Oh, that's a good little segue.
Which is our topic for the night.
Yeah. Wait, before we get to our topic, do you have any resolutions?
Oh, New Year's resolutions?
Mm-hmm.
I have.
Are you doing that this year?
Yeah, I have a lot. Like, too many to tell you because...
Could give me one that you actually think you'll keep.
Okay, I'm doing bullet journaling, which I told you a little bit about before.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm super excited about that. And I feel like that is going to be the key to meeting all of my other New Year's resolutions.
Sure, yeah.
Because I'm going to have like a daily tracker, and I say this now. No, I'm going to do it. I'm putting it out there.
If you say it, you have to do it. That's the rule.
I'm going to have a daily habit tracker to get me on track, and that's my big New Year's resolution. It's just like having my schedule, having my day planned out, knowing exactly what I'm going to do, no like last minute changes. It needs to be on my bullet journal, and if it's not there, I'm not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Works.
That's it.
I like it.
What's yours?
Very similar, actually. Very similar.
Of course, she's always copying me.
I asked the question knowing the answer ahead of time before you gave your answer, and then I was like, oh shoot, should I change my answer because it sounds so similar?
I was trying to copy me.
It
just
was-
didn't care.
It was time blocking, because
Mhm.
I've shown you how I've started doing that in my calendar.
You did not. You told me about it.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, time blocking. And I agree. Like, if I put down, I'm time blocking, my run is from this time to this time.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also putting on there, like, oh, I have to list 3 things on Poshmark today.
That's
or
good.
I
Yeah.
have to clean the kitchen. Like, I have, like, multiple goals in that time blocking frame.
Right. Yeah, I love time blocking. It's good. And it's nice because you're doing your entire day. So if you say you're going to clean from 2:30 to 3, you do it until the time's up.
I only
You
have
know,
15 more minutes. I
Right.
can do this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is boring.
I-
No one wants to hear about time blocking. They want to hear about craziness.
Yes. And I think I start today.
Do you start?
I
Okay.
start.
I'll let you.
Okay. This is the story of the
Wait,
what?
we kind of gave a hint, but our theme this week
Yeah.
is Uber,
Uber,
Lyft,
Lyft.
ride sharing.
That sort of thing.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So, my story is about the Kalamazoo Uber shooter. Have you heard of this?
Not at all.
Okay. So, Uber driver on February 20th, his name is Jason Dalton, at 4:21 picked up his first ride of the day, Matt Mellon, in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Which is really fun to say.
I
by the
was
way.
just thinking
Every
that.
time I say Kalamazoo, I think of that scene in Elf when he's like, Francisco.
That's a fun
That's a
name.
fun name. Anyway, this is not a very fun story. All
That's
right.
about as fun as it gets
Yeah.
right there, Kalamazoo.
So Jason, the driver, he was new to Uber, and this was like a way for him to make some extra money because he wanted to take his family on a vacation. So he had a wife, 2 kids, and this is just like a little side job.
I know people that do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I knew a lot of people who did that, like throughout working for the government. It was whatever, easy money, I guess, if you can handle that. I wouldn't want strangers in my car, but that's just me. Anyway, so Jason picks up Matt, and Matt, the first thing he notices is that he has a dog in the back seat. And I love dogs, but if an Uber driver came to pick me up and they had a dog in their back seat, that would be like red flag. Like, this person is not following
Protocol.
the guidelines, and that would freak me out a little bit.
Yeah, that'd be weird.
And it's a big dog too. It's not like a little like Chihuahua thing.
And it's in the back seat?
In the back seat.
Yeah. If anything, it should be in the front with the driver.
I guess. I don't know. So other than the dog, the ride seems pretty normal. He received a phone call from his kids. This is the driver. Received a phone call, and he put it over the Bluetooth.
So he's not breaking that rule by using a cell phone
although
while driving.
I don't know if like in Michigan that's a thing.
Oh,
I know
okay.
it is in California, but in Michigan it might be different. Regardless, he's talking to his son, and his son just like says like, "Hey, what do you want for dinner? What time are you gonna be home?" Like basic, super normal conversation. So after the call, out of nowhere, Jason begins speeding through this residential area, and he was going up to like 75 miles an hour.
In a
Just like-
residential?
Yeah, just like flying through stop signs,
Oh, that's
flying through
scary.
intersections.
Yeah, let me out.
He was like weaving in and out of traffic, and Matt's like, "What the hell? Like, okay, this needs to stop." And he's just like, "Hey, that's my stop right there. Can you let me out?" And he was lying. Like, obviously,
Uh-huh.
the Uber driver knows where his stop was because it's on his little GPS map thing. He's like, "Yeah, let me out here." But Jason has let him out. He just like keeps driving, and he ends up sideswiping a car.
Uh-huh.
And finally, I guess he stops, and Jason just like barrel rolls, like just tuck and roll out of the car and takes off running. Like, what the hell just happened? So then, wait, did I say Jason does that? Matt, the passenger.
Passenger does that.
passenger
Okay.
does that.
Mm-hmm.
So when he gets far enough away, he grabs his cell phone and he calls 911. And I listened to this 911 call on 2020,
Mm-hmm.
and it pisses me off. Like, it is very bizarre.
Because of the
Because
dispatcher?
of the dispatcher, yeah. And maybe it's just me because I kind of know where this was heading. But he describes what happened, and the dispatcher is like, okay, so what do you want me to do? Do you want me to put out like an alert for that vehicle, or do you want me to send out an officer? And he's like, I don't know. I'm just telling you what happened.
And you're the professional.
Exactly.
You do what you need to do.
And so he starts describing the scenario again, like, this is what happened. He slides up this car. He took off. And again, she's like, okay, but you need to tell me. Do you want me to send out an alert, or do you want an officer? And he's like,
both.
Right. And he's like, I don't know, just send out an alert, I guess. So she does. And she puts out an alert for this silver Equinox. And that's pretty much where that report ends. So at this time, let me find my spot. I started just going off script here. And edit. Oh, okay. So next part is I'm going to tell you what we know about Jason, the Uber driver, as he heads off to the streets back to pick up his next passenger. So he was described by family and friends as gregarious, a family man. He worked a full-time job as an insurance adjuster, and he was married for 20 years, and he regularly posted on Facebook like outings with his family and just like pictures of his kids. He was extremely social, and he could make like conversation with anyone. That's like how people...
A friendly guy.
Yeah.
Sounds like a great Uber driver.
Totally. So then at 5:32, Jason, the Uber driver, is heading to an apartment complex to pick up 15-year-old Macy. And they show like an aerial shot of this apartment complex. It's in one of those places where it's just like copy and paste buildings. Like they all look the same, and you need to know the building number or letter or whatever it is.
You get lost really easily.
Yeah. So he's driving around, and he's getting kind of frustrated because he can't figure out where she is. And he keeps texting her like, where are you? And trying to figure it out. And then he comes across in the parking lot Tiana. And Tiana is a 25-year-old mother who was taking her daughters and some of the neighbor kids across the street to a park. It was like one of the first days where it's starting to get warm enough to go out and play, and they're all excited. And Jason stops and asks her, hey, are you Macy? And she's kind of like, she gives him a little bit of attitude, she says, and she's like, no, and like, slow down because you're driving way too fast in this parking lot.
And I've got kids.
And I have kids here, but she doesn't really have a chance to actually get that full statement out, because that is when Jason pulls out a gun and just starts firing.
What?
Yeah. So Tiana, she immediately screams for the kids to just run and don't stop and don't come back.
This is after the tuck and roll guy.
Yes.
Okay.
Jason unloaded his entire magazine.
Oh my God.
And Tiana hits the ground. She starts to like crawl towards where the kids went. But then she realizes like she just needs to play dead because he is not going to stop firing. Like it's just bullet after bullet.
What?
Yeah. So she actually ends up getting hit 4 times. But since she's playing dead, somehow just miraculously she survives.
Oh my gosh.
And so now that that's happened, the 911 dispatcher, because like obviously all these other people in the apartment complex are hearing what's going on.
Yeah.
They see his car. So they call 911. They give the description of the shooter's vehicle, and the dispatcher realizes like this is the same
crazy driver
that we had the call about earlier. It's the Chevy Equinox with the dog in the back seat. So Matt, they call him back, the first passenger, and he sends them a screenshot of this Jason's driver information from Uber.
Smart.
So now they are like on high alert. They know this vehicle's like the description, the dog, the license plate number, the description of the driver. They have all that information, and police are just like ready to jump on him. Everybody's on high alert. So this is the problem. The driver, Jason, ends up calling up his wife and says, hey, meet me at home. And he gets to the house, and I need to stop going off script because I'm going to lose my place again. Go ahead.
And maybe I'm jumping ahead, but have the police contacted his wife? Like, hey, your husband is going crazy right now?
No, because I don't think that Uber gives you like their full name. I think they only give you like the first name and the first letter of the last name, right?
For privacy.
I think so.
And the make and model of the car. But they should be
the license
exactly
number,
look it up by the license plate.
I don't know. I guess maybe it just happened all too quickly, or I'm
they
not
should be able to
sure.
contact Uber.
Right, that's what you would think, that they should be
But
able
maybe
to. But that's the thing. So Matt, the first passenger, after he got off the phone with the 911 dispatcher, he calls Uber, and there's no real person on the line. It's just like, leave her a message and we'll get back to you.
Okay.
Like, and then he ends up emailing them and telling them what happened, so that this guy like
he's
gets kicked
being
off.
very proactive.
I guess, but at the same time, like, that's super scary that you can't actually get a hold of anyone. It's just going to keep going until they actually
check
take the
that
time
email.
to check it.
Mm-hmm.
And until then, his account is still active and he can still go around picking up people.
Okay, continue.
Okay. So he calls up his wife, meet me at home. So they get to, which is actually his parents' house where they meet up. And he hands his wife a gun. And he's like, hey, I got in this crazy situation. There's cabbies out there, and they're pissed that there's Uber drivers who are like in their territory.
Okay.
And we got into this scuffle, and that's how he describes like the damage on the car, because remember, he got sideswiped, right?
Uh-huh.
So he leaves the Chevy Equinox, the car that everybody's looking for, in the garage, and he gets in his parents' black HHR and goes back out to the streets and starts picking up people again.
No.
Yeah, and this is the crazy thing too, because I think if I got picked up by an Uber and their profile says they're driving a silver Chevy Equinox and they show up in a black HHR, I'm not getting in the car.
You would think.
Yeah, but
in, there's a lot of times the reason you're calling an Uber driver is because you've had a few drinks, and hey, I'm here to pick up, Angela at the corner of First and A Street.
Yeah. And oftentimes they'll get out of the car. Like, I've been picked up at bars and they say, are you Angela? And then they open the door for you. So they're like greeting you from the vehicle.
Right.
So
you may not even have time to like fully register. Oh, shoot, this isn't the car I'm supposed to be in.
Yeah, you just see the Uber sticker or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the person knows your name.
Right.
And you hop on in.
Yikes.
Yeah, and that's he too. Like I said before, he was super social and easy to have a conversation with. And so these people that he picked up, they're like, yeah, he apologized. He said his Equinox was having car trouble and he had to take his other car. Like, no big deal.
Okay, made a quick excuse for it.
Yep. So he picks up more passengers and he delivers them to their destination, no problem.
Normally?
Yeah. That's the crazy thing. They just give, and like people are saying, oh yeah, he was fine. Like he had a conversation. He was singing along to the radio. Just seems like a super cool guy. All right. So what time does this happen? I believe this is later. Okay, so he got the HHR at 6:05. And then he's driving around for a while. I don't think I have the time. So later on in the evening, this is after hours of a car dealership. He's driving around and he parks his HHR and he walks into a dealership and he comes across Tyler and Rick Smith. And this is a father and a son who wanted to look at a truck that Tyler was interested in, the son. But they wanted to like be able to look at it after hours and kind of read the details about the truck without being bothered by salesmen. Which I totally
got it.
get. Like I've done that exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was cold out and Tyler had his girlfriend with him, Alexis. And Alexis was like cold and tired and she just wanted to stay in their car and didn't really want to get out and look at the truck. She's like, I don't know anything about trucks anyway. I don't care.
I'm cold.
So while Rick and Tyler were looking at this F-150, Jason Dalton walks up and says, hey, what are you looking at? And they turn around and they're like, oh, this blue truck. And that's all they were able to get out before Jason again pulls out a gun and just starts shooting.
What a dick.
He shot 16 rounds into the father and son. All the while, Alexis is watching in the back seat of the car. And when she hears the gunshots, she immediately sinks down and hides behind the seat until the shooter leaves. She's freaking out. She actually didn't have a cell phone at the time. So she's just like sitting there freaking out. And like
scared to get out of the car.
Exactly. Finally, she it seems quiet for a while. She looks out and she realizes that Jason is gone and she has to get out of the car and pull her boyfriend's cell phone out of his pocket and call 911. So
and the boyfriend's dead.
Yeah. The boyfriend and the father.
Poor girl.
They were shot so many times at close range. So when the police arrive, she can't really tell them what he's driving because he had walked from around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
So she didn't actually see a vehicle. And of course, they immediately like have to pat her down.
Oh,
and
yeah.
make sure she's not the shooter because it's such a bizarre situation.
Random person.
Luckily, there were people in the area who did witness what the driver was driving. And they were able to say, like, yeah, it was this black car, black HHR or whatever. But that just throws the police off even more.
Now
like,
they may think there's two.
Exactly. So,
what?
Yeah, it's super crazy. And it's just so random. It's like they're not even passengers. Like, he has no connection with these people at all. So then, Jason continues, and I believe he picks up a few more passengers, takes them to their destination, and then he arrives at a Cracker Barrel. And
which we're getting in camera, by the
way. I just saw that the other day. I was like in shock. I've never been to a Cracker Barrel. But unfortunately, this is like not the most positive thing about a Cracker Barrel right here. Not that it's their fault at all, but it's like a really sad association. So Jason pulls up to this Cracker Barrel. And this is where he encounters Mary Jo Nye, Mary Lou Nye, Dorothy Brown, Barbara Hawthorne, and where is her name? Abigail Koff. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. Kopf.
Koff. I would say Koff.
Abigail. And she's 14. So these women, they had gone to a Cracker Barrel to have dinner, and they did this, like, I think it may be like a monthly meetup. It was like the girls' night. Mm-hmm. And they just, I don't know, when I hear them being described, it's like the Golden Girls. They all get together and they play cards and they have dinner and go out and go to shows and stuff. And Abigail, 14-year-old girl, she just seemed like a super cool kid. She just wanted to hang out with them, and she referred to Barbara, I believe, as like her adopted grandmother. Like, she wasn't actually related to her, but it was just like she loved hanging out with her.
That's really sweet.
Yeah, it was. So they had gone to dinner together, and then they all decided to get into one car because they were going to go see a show, and that way they're not taking a bunch of cars. And then they had gone to the show, and they went back to the Cracker Barrel for everybody to get in their cars and drive home.
Okay.
So when they're still sitting in the vehicle that they drove back with, everybody in the same car, Jason walks up and he just shoots everyone. While they're just sitting there. Yeah. So, of course, people are like freaking out because there's people in the area. They were able to call 911. When the police arrive on the scene, it's clear that most everyone is dead. And yeah, it's just absolutely horrible. So they rush everybody to the hospital, and they call up Abigail's parents and tell them to meet there. And they tell the parents, like, you know, it's not looking good. You need to come and possibly say goodbye.
Oh my God.
And I mean, everyone was shot in the head. It's just
terrible. I mean, if they're sitting up in a car,
right? So the parents come and they tell Abigail, you know, it's okay to let go. You can let go, and they don't think she's gonna make it. And she's at this time she's on life support, so they make the decision to pull her off of life support. And the mother's talking to her and holding her hand and telling her how much they love her and that it's okay. And then Abigail squeezes the mom's hand.
Way.
So, of course, she yells for the nurses and the doctors to come in. And then they notice Abigail is now breathing on her own, and her heart is beating on its own.
And they were just going to take her off.
They already did take her off. Her body was now
working on its own.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was just insane. And she pulls through, and she, of course, has like a huge, like, long recovery. And
well, yeah, you get shot and almost die.
Yeah, and she had lost her short-term memory for a while, but I believe it was coming back. They were able to work on rehab procedures and keep her going. And I mean, she's doing interviews now. Like in the 2020 episode, they interview her, and she's able to speak. Like she's a fighter. She's making it through.
How old is she now?
Let's see. So she was 14 at the time, and it happened in, I want to to say 2016.
Okay.
Yeah, 2016. So
17.
yeah.
Let me count on my fingers.
At the time of the interview, I think she was probably like 16.
Okay,
maybe.
so
I
not
don't know.
too long after, a year or two after.
And it's just
Okay, wait.
amazing.
So tell me about the stupid shooter. Where did he go? What happened with him?
Okay, yeah, that's what I was getting to next. So now they have confirmed this is the guy in the black HHR, and they're pulling over every dark color HHR. And a police officer pulled him over, and he pulled over, he complied. They pull again. They said, get out of the car. They're prepared to get into a firefight at this point because this guy has already shot so many people.
Yeah.
And he just gets out of the car totally willingly. And they arrest him. They take him in for questioning, and that's where the crazy shit happens.
Wait, because it's not crazy enough.
Oh, no. It gets so much crazier. So he initially says, like, I didn't do it. I'm not a killer. I'm not a killer. It's the app. And you've got to pull this up. You've got to listen. So he starts describing how the Uber app, once he opened it, it just overtook his entire body, and it was now controlling him. And when
Wait, are you sure this isn't our hypnosis episode?
This reminds me of a freaking Black Mirror episode.
Wow.
Yeah, it was insane. And he is saying, like, okay, this devil would appear on the screen, and it would turn black, and that's when it would tell me I had to kill. So he's just like, yeah.
Is he just crazy? But he had he had a job, he had a family.
Exactly. And so while I'm listening to this interview, like, my mind's going a million miles a minute, and I'm thinking, like, okay, is it a brain tumor? Did he have some sort of, like, mental
breakdown?
Did he have some sort of disease that, like, was underlying? And I'm just thinking brain tumor. Like, there's that, because I've heard about, like, people start maybe hearing voices.
Sure.
If the tumor's in a certain spot, they start having hallucinations. Or, like, maybe there's, like, an exhaust leak in the car. Like, this is so weird.
Yeah.
And he was saying, like, I couldn't control it. This just happened, and I had to. It compelled me. I couldn't stop it. So,
but he had guns and loaded them and
went
to his house and
made the decision to change cars. But why just...
And made up the story to his wife about
the cabbies, unless that was all a hallucination as well. I don't know. Well, actually, I do know because I watched the entire episode.
Okay, I need to know. I'm like...
it's super unsatisfying because... So they go to court, and he had called up his mother, I believe, while he's sitting in jail awaiting, like, the actual trial. Mm-hmm. And they record him saying that, yeah, I made it all up. He made up the whole story.
Well, that's good. At least he's going to have to actually pay for his...
to me, is so much worse. Then it's just pure evil. Like,
he's an
why
ass.
are you doing that?
An absolute asshole.
But I need a reason, and not that there's any excuse for something like that, because there isn't. Like, it's just pure evil. But, like, I need an explanation, and there is none. There's no explanation.
There's no backstory on him being twisted somehow.
No. And that's the thing. So Uber came out, and it's like, yeah, we did a background check, and he has absolutely no criminal history. I mean, he was married for 20 years. Like, you think you would know someone, but he just snapped. And, you're not going to... Maybe he had intended on taking it, but... I don't know. You have the gun right there. Like, if you were going to take your own life, wouldn't you? I don't know. It just drives me insane. Because
so he killed the father and son.
Yes. He
tried to kill the girl and the kids.
Right.
He killed all the ladies going to the movies.
Yes.
Except for the
Abigail,
14-year-old.
who he tried to kill, yes.
But all the other ladies.
Yes. They all.
So how many people did he kill total?
So that's 4 in the car, the 2 at the dealer, so that's 6, and then
the other 2 attempted.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow, what an asshole!
It's insane, and there's no. He didn't know these people,
right?
Like,
random.
There's no, and it's not like, okay, it's only women. It's only people of a certain race. Like, they try to come up with like some sort of, like I said, not an excuse, but like he had a hatred towards women because
there was just whoever was there.
Yeah. And it wasn't his passengers. It was...
Oh, well, there was the one guy he went a little crazy on.
Yeah.
But he didn't try to shoot him.
No. Yeah.
What a whack job.
It was absolutely insane. So at the trial, the victims and the survivors, obviously, and the victim's family were able to make statements towards him and, like, just, get some stuff off their chest, I guess.
But there's no reason. Like you said, there's no reason.
Right.
There's nothing he can say or do to make it all okay.
But the one thing that was just, like, really incredible is that Tiana, the young mother with the kids, it's like super powerful. You've got to look it up. So she makes a statement, and in her statement she says, "I try every day to hate you. I want to hate you so badly, but I know that I cannot hate you because hatred only breeds more hatred and negativity, and I don't want to bring that into my life or to the lives of my children." And
she's a bigger person than I think I could be.
Oh my God, yes. And that was pretty amazing. The aftermath, this is kind of the ripple, and it's not a very satisfying one, but this is what came of the incident afterwards. So after all of this happened, the community was like, hey, why don't we have some sort of message going out to everybody letting us know that there's an active shooter in the area? Like, nobody knew that this is going on other than, like, just reports from the news if they happen to catch the news. So what they ended up doing is creating a 911 text system where they could put out an alert to everybody in the area by sending out a warning similar to, like, an Amber Alert. So there's that again. So
when our phone, like, makes that super loud noise and there's an active Amber Alert in the area, it's like that, but an active shooter.
Right. Yeah.
So what kind of details would it give? Does it say, like, in the, like, 800 block, or?
I don't know exactly, but it would give you something, some kind of warning. It just says it would send out information of an active shooter situation
and probably what to do.
Emergencies to protect residents. Yeah. So there's that. And then, of course, Uber came out and made their statement. But, like, what is Uber going to do? Like, they already did their background check. They would have never been able to know. Nobody knew that this guy was going to snap the way that they did. But what they ended up doing, and I believe this was earlier this year. So if you go onto your Uber map now, there is a shield button, which I haven't looked at. I should probably do that. Pull it up. Apparently there's this shield that you can click on, and it will pop up, like, an emergency button, so you don't, like, I guess, hit it accidentally. So you have to hit 2 buttons before it will call 911 on your behalf. And if you're not able to, like, actually talk to the dispatcher for fear of your own life or whatever's going on, it will send them, the 911 operator, dispatcher, whatever, it'll give the car's make and model, license plate, and the GPS coordinates to their location.
Oh,
which is super cool.
That's very cool.
Like, that should have been there all along. Yeah. But I guess you never expect crazy shit like this to happen until it actually happens.
Right.
So, yeah. And right now it's in 60 major cities, and they're working on making it everywhere. So.
Is it in our area? Do you know?
Well, it's in Los Angeles, so I feel like we're close enough to Los Angeles for it to work in Ventura as well. So, yeah. That is my...
Well, that's some good.
Horrible.
Wow, that is a really sad story.
Yeah, it's really awful. And again, my information came mostly from the 2020 episode, and I think it was called Deadly Ride. I want to say, but if you just, like, Google Uber driver 2020, it'll come up. And then the rest of my information came from Wikipedia and the Uber website itself.
Awesome.
Not so awesome.
Well, you did a good job.
Have you ever had, like, a crazy Uber experience?
No. Mine have been very boring.
I've had a few. I've had a couple, like...
Crazy ones?
Well, crazy, and then, like, looking back, I'm like, why the hell did I do that? So,
have you ever ridden by yourself?
I have not.
Me either.
No, I've never. But usually I'm not out by myself. So, and that's really the only time I ever call Uber.
I'm going to be. I'm going to be. It's crazy.
You're taking an Uber by yourself for what situation?
When I do the LA Marathon in the morning.
Oh.
Because we start at Dodger Stadium. And getting up that crazy mess of a hill with all those other drivers is going to be insane. And then finding a place to park and then getting to the start line. So I'm just going to get an Uber and have them drop me.
Are there, I mean, it's LA, so I would imagine there's Ubers going all the time. But I've tried to get Ubers earlier in the morning out here and haven't had anybody, like, accept my ride.
I think because they know a special event will be happening.
Yeah.
Because I took an Uber last year.
Mm-hmm.
But it was with Beth. I wasn't by myself. So that's why
Okay, so you've done it before.
I've done it, yeah.
You just, like, pretend you're on the phone the whole time.
Yeah. As I start to panic right now, it's a couple months away already.
See, okay, this is what'll happen. You'll get your adrenaline, like, going super, super high. You'll be, like, super pumped because you're afraid that you might get murdered. And then you'll run really fast.
So fast.
There you go. It's perfect.
Okay, wait, what are your crazy Ubers?
So, one time, a Vegas Uber picked us up. We were leaving a casino and going back to our hotel. And, I mean, it's not that scary. Well, I shouldn't say that. It should be super scary. But it's not as bad because I feel like there's so many out there and they're just, like, trying to make the money and just go, go, go. They're, like, on top of their stuff. So, this guy picked us up. We got in the car. And then I realized the driver's side window. So I got in on the passenger side was broken. Like, I thought it was just down. Then I'm like, oh no, there's shattered glass all over the place.
What?
And we're like,
in the car?
Yeah, and we're already going at this point. And I'm like, like, what happened here? And he's
you
like,
asked the guy?
Yeah. And he's like, oh, just like these crazy people. Man, I hate Vegas. I can't wait to get out of here. There's just drunks and hobos and meth addicts and just craziness all over here. I can't believe it. They came and broke my window. I'm like...
So a rider broke it or just some crazy person on the street?
Crazy person on the street, the way he described it. I don't think he would tell us if it were an actual passenger who broke the window.
But he's still out picking up passengers?
So I'm sitting in the back seat. Monique is sitting in the front seat. And I'm like putting my arm between like her seat and the door. And I'm like poking her. I'm like, do we need to get out of the car right now? And then I start texting her, of course. I'm like, okay. If we need to get out at a red light, just say the word and we'll jump out. But it ended up being fine. I mean, yeah, he was in a super bad mood and he probably shouldn't have been driving with a freaking broken window, but it was okay.
I almost feel a little bit bad for him.
Yeah, but I mean, it was
at least go to the place and like vacuum out the broken glass.
Yeah. And then the other time, this is the time where I was an idiot and I shouldn't have done this, but I was out drinking at downtown Ventura at the tavern, and a bunch of us get an Uber, and we're all getting dropped off, and Monique and I are the last to get dropped off because I was spending the night at her house that night, and I had just fallen asleep by that point. Like, I had so much to drink, and it was like super late, you know, it was probably last call. So once they get to her house, I'm knocked out in the back seat. And they're trying to wake me up, and apparently I'm just not having it. I'm like, nope, I'm good right here.
I'm staying here all night.
Yeah. So the Uber driver's like, oh, I can carry her.
No.
Yeah. And Monique's like, no, she'll wake up. And she's like shaking me like, get up, you gotta get up. And he's like, no, trust me, like I do this all the time. It's not a big deal. So she's like, okay. So she lets the guy carry me
into her
house, which is only like 5 steps away.
But into her home.
Yeah. But Monique, being drunk too, she forgets that she has like a freaking 80-pound German Shepherd right inside the door. So as soon as she opens the door, yeah. And so she described it that like he just tossed me on the couch and booked it out of there.
So much better than an alarm system.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that's like one of those nights that I look back. And
yeah,
I'm
that
like,
could have gone. That could have gone bad.
Yeah, I'm going to shut up now. I feel like I've been talking nonstop this entire time.
That's okay. Need a palate cleanser.
Right?
Woo! All right, I have a few sources. I got safety.com.
That's a good website to go to, I feel like.
I needed to go there.
You're a safe place. Safe website.
I just like kind of curled in a ball and started rocking back and forth.
In your chair.
Uber.com, of course. Washington Post, CNN, abcnewsgo.com, and www.whatsmyname.org, and that will be explained.
Oh no.
So,
this is going to be sad.
Samantha Josephson was attending the University of South Carolina, and she was a 21-year-old senior, and she was out with friends at a local bar, like what you do when you're in college. Shortly after 2 a.m., she decides to head home, and she leaves the bar. It's called the Bird Dog, which I thought that was a really cute name for a bar. The Bird Dog, which was in Columbia, South Carolina. And she calls herself an Uber. An Uber.
So she's alone on this
She's
Uber.
alone. And that's why I asked you, have you ever been on an Uber? And
Yeah.
why I'm a little freaked out about taking one myself. Maybe I can find someone in my area to ride share with.
Yeah, there you go. Because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of other
Runners. Yeah. So unfortunately, that's the last time her friends would see Samantha alive. There was surveillance of the bar, the outside of the bar, inside of the bar, probably, watching to see if there's people under 21 trying to get in, or drunk, stupid bar fights outside.
Or just for their own security, too.
Absolutely. So it shows her walking outside and waiting on the sidewalk.
By herself.
And holding her phone and probably, just checking to see where the Uber driver was, and maybe texting her friends or looking through pictures that I'm sure she took throughout the night.
Yeah.
And that footage shows that at 2:09 a.m., a black Chevy Impala pulled up to where she was standing, and Samantha gets inside of it. The driver of that black Impala was not her Uber driver.
Oh, no.
That was not the car that she was supposed to get into.
Does it say what car it was?
It didn't.
Did he have an Uber sticker at all?
Watch.
Okay,
or listen.
sorry. Am I jumping ahead?
Nope, that's okay. I do the same thing. We're problem solvers. We're trying to solve. So instead of driving her home, something terrible was about to happen. So the morning after Samantha left the bar, her co-workers got concerned that she didn't report for her breakfast shift. She worked at a place called the Liberty Tap Room, and she just didn't show up. And she's not like that. She's not a flake.
Yeah.
And her friends then reported her missing 12 hours later.
Oh, no.
So she gets picked up around 2:09, around 2 p.m. the next afternoon. They're like, okay, something's going on.
Yeah.
So they start calling around. No one has seen her.
That's the good and bad thing about technology now. It's when somebody doesn't answer, everybody has their cell phone on them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
If a few hours go by and this is somebody who has their phone, that they're constantly looking at it, they're on social media, whatever. If you see they're completely inactive,
They've gone black. Yeah.
Then that's scary.
Yeah. So the police come over to interview her friends, and they want to get a description of what she was wearing when she was last seen. They reviewed the surveillance footage, and they got images to distribute out to the public to say hey, have you seen this girl type thing?
Ugh.
But then just 2 hours later, her body was found with multiple sharp force injuries.
So she was stabbed?
Many times. There were 2 men that were out hunting turkeys 70 miles away from the bar, and they were walking through this super thick wooded field, and it was 40 feet off of the dirt road. So this very rural area. Real rural. And
such a weird word.
They discovered her body.
That's awful.
And it was confirmed it was her based on what she was wearing because of what she was last seen in. So it was quickly confirmed that it was her. So the authorities then blast the information about the vehicle.
Okay, so they got the surveillance tape right away.
Exactly.
Good on them.
They gave a description from the footage of the bar out to the local community. And then around 3 a.m. the next Saturday, so just not that long later, because she had been missing on a Friday. So this is just 24 hours after she disappeared. A patrol officer spotted a black Impala. The officer pulled the car over, and when he got to the driver and asked him to step out, the man took off running. He just bolted.
He knew exactly what the hell he did. And he didn't even bother trying to get in a different car or ditching his car?
Or leave the area.
Yeah.
The police officer, like, super fast grabbed him. He didn't get far at all.
Good.
And in his car, they found blood that matched Samantha's.
Mm-hmm.
It was found in the trunk and on the passenger seat. They also found window cleaner, bleach, antibacterial wipes, as well as Samantha's phone. And this part, for whatever reason, really creeped me out. The child safety locks had been activated in the back seat.
So she couldn't get out.
So she couldn't get out.
Oh, no. That needs to not be a thing in Ubers.
And I guess my car has child safety.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't have children, but I use that so that my dogs don't accidentally, like, open the windows.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I ever thought about them for the locks, but I always thought
For
about
the
them
window.
for the windows, not
Yeah.
being able to roll the windows down and up.
Because they stand up on the
Yeah.
ledge. Yeah. But that, how
That's
scary.
so scary. And obviously, this guy was a predator. Like, he knew exactly what he was doing, because you don't just pull up, right along some girl holding her phone outside of a bar. Like, he was probably on the prowl.
Oh, absolutely.
Looking for a victim. Just
Absolutely.
Like, oh, that's
Yeah,
so
he was
sickening.
looking for someone to hurt.
So sickening.
So people that knew Samantha said that she was kind, she was well-liked, she was warm. They called her Sammy, like S-A-M-I.
Mm-hmm.
And she was in the Alpha Gamma Delta sorority, and she planned to graduate in May before attending law school in the fall. So she had big plans that this asshole cut short. So Nathaniel D. Rowland was the guy's name. He was 24 at the time. He was arrested on charges of murder and kidnapping. And then they also tacked on 2 misdemeanor charges for failing to stop on police command. So when he took off running.
Right.
And for a simple possession of marijuana. He waived his rights to a court hearing, and he didn't speak in front of the judge. So he's not going to be tried by jury. It's just going to be a judge making the decision of what punishment he gets. But Samantha's mom gave a plea to the judge. She was able to speak.
Okay, so
that day.
That's kind of like in my case where everybody got up and said what they needed to say.
Get their 2 cents out, yeah. And she says this quote. She says, "There are no words to describe the immense pain his actions have caused our family and friends. He's taken away a piece of our heart, soul, and life. Shame on him." And then she says, "Samantha Josephson. My daughter's name is Samantha Josephson," she said. "Don't ever forget her name, Samantha Josephson." And I was like, whoa, those are some very, like, passionate, strong words.
Yeah.
So, a little ripple begins with the Sunday after her murder. There was a candlelit vigil that was held on her campus for Samantha. And her dad, his name is Seymour Josephson. He was there, and he spoke to the crowd, asking them to remember to be vigilant when getting rides. And he says, quote, "You guys have to travel together. What I want to do is educate everybody. I've gone through this, and I don't want anybody else to ever go through this again." So getting an Uber and Lyft to improve their safety protocol is now one of Seymour Josephson's goals. And the family together has started the hashtag What's My Name campaign to promote rideshare safety.
Oh, okay. I kind of see where this is going.
Okay. So when someone is requesting a ride and ask the driver to identify them by name. So which that means is I requested an Uber. The Uber comes up. I open the door. And I need the Uber driver to say
your name.
my name. So what's my name? I don't want to go, "Oh, who are you here for?" Or, I don't want them to
No, that would work too.
or who are you here for would work. Yes. I don't want them to go, or
You
me
don't
to
wanna
go, "Are you here for Rosa?"
Right. Yeah.
I don't want to give the name.
That's kind of interesting because the last couple times that I took Uber, they would roll down the window and say, "Are you Angela?"
So they're going off of that.
Or
That's good.
I mean, they might not be doing that intentionally, but
They did. So the hashtag What's My Name campaign, and They also have launched a website, which I said at the beginning, but it's the what'smyname.org. And on that website, they have in huge, huge letters the word or the name SAMI, SAMI. And what that stands for is stop, ask, match, inform. So, and this is straight from their website. The stop is the plan ahead. Before you request a ride, think about where you're headed and review the safety features in the app so you know how to use them.
Smart. See, that's just what I was saying. Like, oh, yeah, Uber has this safety feature, but I've never looked at
The
it.
shield thing?
Yeah, I didn't even know that was a thing until I did my
So
story.
they're saying, like, know what is there.
Mm-hmm.
Ask your driver, what's my name, to confirm they have booked a trip with you through the ride-sharing app. So A, ask. Again, they want this drilled into people. What is my name? Ask the driver that. And then match the make, model, and license plate of the car with the one displayed in the app. M for the match again. Matching the model, the license plate. Share the details of a trip with your friend. And that's like in the inform, the I for inform.
I was going to say, wait, what letter is that?
Sorry, I skipped ahead to the I. I inform. So, like, hey, I'm taking an Uber. He's supposed to pick me up. He's in a red Corvette.
You could just, like, screenshot and text.
And text
and
it.
be like, hey, I'm going to take an Uber later. I'm going to send you a screenshot.
And there's also also a share status function. So you can, like, forward all of that information to a friend.
Oh, smart. Okay.
And then you can also, depending on if you're doing Lyft or Uber, I forget which one it is, but your friends can track you, like, on the road. Like, you know how we use Life 360?
Yep.
They can actually track the where you are at the time. And on one, and I only read this on one source, so I didn't really include it, but I'm saying it now. Apparently her boyfriend Samantha's boyfriend was watching the ride, but I don't know if someone was just making that up or how that all plays into it.
Yeah, because if she never got in, then what ride was he watching?
So that was probably someone's...
Or maybe he had a different app that was tracking her.
Or maybe he was tracking the one that was supposed to pick her up. I don't know.
Something doesn't seem right about that.
Yeah, and only, like I said, only one source said
yeah.
that. Sorry, my throat.
Is it because of the shot of creamy thick eggnog?
Probably is. The flemminess of the shot of eggnog is getting to me.
That's my moist.
Ugh.
It's when you say
Gross.
phlegm, it freaks me out. I hate it.
And this is kind of what we were saying too, that even though Uber and Lyft have background checks, they're still going to get some criminals. So a 2018 investigation by CNN found that at least 103 Uber drivers in the preceding 4 years have been accused of sexually assaulting or abusing their passengers, with at least 31 of them convicted.
Oh, no.
So, Go ahead.
Okay, so when you said the whole thing about, like, the background check, I know of a Lyft driver who has a very checkered driving past who I would not want to ride with, and I think you know who I'm talking about.
Okay, I think I know who you're talking about, but were they really a Lyft driver?
I don't know. It could have all been I could have been lied to the entire time, so I don't want to throw Lyft under the bus. I mean, I'm sure they're doing everything that they can, but
I think this person
may
have said, "Oh, I'm
driving,
trying to become a Lyft driver."
But I feel like this person had a Lyft sticker on their car.
Oh,
so I don't know. Don't listen to that. Jury's still out. I could be lied to this entire time. So
it's quite. I don't know. I know who you're talking about, and I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So, on the safety website, these are just a few things that you should do if you're taking a Lyft or an Uber. And the one is wait for your ride in a safe place. And that kind of just means like, hey, you again can track your Uber driver so you can see when they're pulling up. So that's when you can go outside. You don't need to wait outside for them for 15 minutes to get to you.
Right.
Always ask, what's my name? Verify the car and driver. Don't ride alone.
Sometimes it's unavoidable, though.
I agree, especially if you're running the LA Marathon and it's really early in the morning.
You know what you should take? Okay, so you're taking what, like keys, ID, like all these things.
Yes.
You need one of those emergency. Well, that too. That pepper spray, knife.
I'm gonna run
Doberman.
26.2 miles with all that stuff in my hands.
One of those, which everyone should probably have anyway on their keychain, the window breakers.
It's like
So if somebody child locks you,
you
you can break a window.
That is a very good safety
you know
feature
what I'm
to
talking
have.
about, though. It's
Totally.
Like it's a little tiny little point, and you just hit a window with it, and yeah, then you could. I mean,
if someone child locks me in,
maybe you could hit him in the forehead. Who knows? But that
so
would be a bad thing to have.
no, not at all. And then number 5 is use trip sharing features. So that's the one I was saying, like I could, if I tell you, I could just send you the information.
Which again, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yep. Number 6 is consider more personal safety technology. So that's kind of like what we have, the Life 360. They gave Eyewitness app, which has a security system, a camera, alarm, and an emergency 911 calling. Tigo was another one that was a free one that tracks like your walks or your rides, and it has optional video recording. And then another one I had never heard of is the NIMB, NIMB ring, and it's a smart ring that conceals a panic button. So kind of like a hidden app on your phone, and so the driver wouldn't know you were hitting that panic button.
So what do you mean by ring?
That's the name of the app.
Oh.
The NIM, N-I-M-B ring.
So there's a button that you can hit that's like, so if your screen's locked or something, I don't know. I'm going to have to look at it.
Yeah. I haven't looked it up myself, but that's what it's saying it does. It conceals like a panic button.
Okay, that's cool.
Something smart.
Yeah, you should download that.
Letting the driver know that you're being tracked. Like, oh, yeah, I'm using my...
Oh, that's weird. I don't know if I would do that.
Well, or just saying something like, hey, Mom, and it doesn't even have to be really you're calling your mom.
Yeah.
Just calling to let you know, I just got in the Uber. I should be there in 15 minutes.
Oh, you'll see me on my 360.
Exactly. You can follow along. This I thought was interesting, choosing where to sit. So where do you normally sit?
I sit in the back.
Okay.
Do you sit in the back?
I've always sat in the back. And they say that it's actually safer to sit in the back of the car because it creates 2 possible exits if they don't child lock you, and increases space between the driver and the passenger. And they also say sitting on the passenger side instead of directly behind the driver can help you keep an eye on both the driver and on the road.
Okay.
And then trying to choose a seat with easy access to the door. So you don't want to sit like in the middle, like on the hump.
Oh, yeah.
And then if you feel safer in the front seat, like some people just might want that feeling, they said a good driver shouldn't mind if you sit there. So consider it a red flag if the driver tries to force you into sit in the back right.
Yeah,
only.
I've been in the fronts, but only when we were like a big group
full
of
in the
people.
back. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, but I've never had a driver ever
tell you where to sit.
Yeah, exactly.
Number 9 was make sure your driver follows the rules of the road. That's like not speeding, not being on the phone. They say that you need to follow the rules of the road too. So putting on your seatbelt. Don't share personal information. So if you are able to be dropped off maybe a little bit away from your home, they said it would be a good idea.
I've always thought about that.
So then they can't necessarily come back later. Trusting your gut if anything seems off. Be aware of the traffic, and then giving feedback, which I have never done, about your driver.
Oh, on the app?
I've never rated my driver. Do you?
I always do, yeah.
But it's good if you're like, this guy was a creep. He talked about this. He tried to do that. So then other people can kind of get a heads up, which you might be protecting them.
But have you ever looked at a driver's ratings? Because I never have.
No.
I'm just like, oh, that one's close.
That one's, grab that one. So on May 16th, South Carolina's governor signed the Samantha Josephson Act into law, requiring that all rideshare drivers to have a sign, and this is what you're talking about, like the Lyft sticker, with the name of the service and license plate number displayed on the front of the vehicle while on duty. So in California, we already have the law where you have to have a front license plate.
Yep.
South Carolina did not have that law.
So this if you want to drive for Uber or any sort of like commercial pickup thing,
you have to have a front license plate. It also made the act of impersonating a driver a crime. So like that guy that pretended that he was an Uber driver, he is in trouble for that, as well as murdering. So a very sad story, but a lot of change hopefully is becoming out of it.
And that's the crazy thing too, because once Uber came about, like it initially seemed kind of sketchy because you're picking up somebody who you don't know. But I mean, so
how is that any different?
But everybody said, well, you're being tracked, so that's the safety feature. That's why it's going to be safer than just getting in the car with some random cabbie. But then
I don't know. I think you just need to be safe and be aware and
plan all of these things ahead of time, because once you start drinking,
you're
not gonna yeah. Wow, that's horrible. That was really, really sad. It was a bunch of terrible news stories. But do you want to hear my one positive?
Your hero story.
Okay. And I really, really wanted, maybe when there's more information on this, if we do this topic again, I'll give you the full story.
I need a hero.
But this is about a Lyft driver. So this is my apology for what I said about Lyft earlier. This was a Lyft driver who picked up 3 people in Sacramento. It was 2 women and what looked like a 12-year-old girl to him. And this is, again, like what you were saying earlier, somebody sat up front. So the 12-year-old was sitting up front. The 2 other women were sitting in the back seat. And they told him right when they got in the car, hey, turn up the radio, which is fine. Like, whatever. He's like, okay, so I turned up the radio. And then he quickly realized that they told him to do that because they wanted to have a conversation that he couldn't hear. So, and he's like me, as soon as I know that somebody's having a conversation,
that's all you listen. All you want to hear.
You want to hear. So he's listening to them, and he's hearing them describe how this girl is going to go, because he's taking them to a hotel, and she's going to go in the room. She's going to check to make sure they have the donation. She's going to check to make sure that they don't have any guns. Is this
some like sex trafficking scheme?
So he plays along, like just keeps his cool.
What?
Drives them to the hotel. Pulls around, I guess, like to the back or something.
Where they tell him to go?
Well, no, I mean, he drops them off. And I guess he's still watching them, and he watches what room they go into. And he calls the police, and they end up busting this whole child sex trafficking.
Sick.
Yeah. Crazy.
Good for him.
Yeah. It was a good hero story. But that was like all the information I could find, so. But, yay. That's the bright side of.
I'm sure there's a lot of good that Uber drivers do, but unfortunately, the bad is what the media picks up on. But that's why we're looking for some of the good in this bad.
Right.
That's why we're looking for the what's
the
my
fountains,
name?
The fountains and not the drains.
Not the drains. Do you want to pick a theme for next week?
Oh shoot! Yeah, I forgot about that. Okay, let me grab the basket. Okay, here, it's your turn to pick.
It's mine?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Here, grab.
Okay, ready?
Shake it up, shake it up, shake it up.
And it is Disney!
Yay.
Stories that involve Disney or Disneyland.
We're gonna ruin your favorite place for you.
Disney or Disneyland. Oh, I just got Disney passes for Christmas.
Did you like annual passes?
That's what Eden and I got for Christmas.
Dang, spoiled.
It's the happiest place on earth.
Until I tell you all the horrible things about it next week.
Okay, yay. So, don't forget.
Be a fountain.
Not a drain.
Goodbye.